All right. Welcome, sis. Of course, it is me, Coach V, the new love strategist, coming before you for your weekly training video. Popping in just for a few moments, wanting to talk because I know that many of you are feeling a little forgotten still, right? Feeling maybe a little bit overlooked, maybe feeling skipped, maybe feeling like love is just delayed in this season. I know I can't see you, but raise your hand if you agree with me on this one. I know that some of you, even just from conversations in the DMs, right, have mentioned that maybe at this point in your life you're just thinking like, okay, maybe it's just not my time yet. Maybe I'm supposed to be focused on something else. Maybe, love is going to happen when it's supposed to. All of these fun little cliches that a lot of times women tell themselves during that season of being single and endless dating and back-to-back situationships that go nowhere. But here's something else I want to do. I want to reframe the narrative, because what if for you it has nothing at all to do with timing? What if it's all about positioning at this point in your life? What if you look at it from a place of maybe it's not even that you're being passed over, but you're being prepared? I know that that is the case for many of you in this season. And I know that this season has seemed long, right? Where it's like you've been watching the videos, you've been doing all the things, reading the books, signing up for challenges, listening to the podcast, putting amen and receiving it at the end of every generic prophetic post, all of these different things. And it's like you're kind of at that point where it's like, okay, how long is this season supposed to last? But what many of you are not realizing at this is that this is the season that you are being prepared for what it is that you are actually praying for, what it is that you are wanting when it comes to true love, when it comes to a good man, when it comes to a healthy relationship. And listen, I know it's so easy to say, oh, I'm just waiting on God. First of all, what I've realized is that the majority of the women that actually state that, as it pertains to their dating and love life, they don't really believe that. It's really just a false sense of comfort. It's a sense of hope that they're kind of giving themselves when really deep down they're frustrated, they're annoyed, they're depleted, they're feeling a little bit forgotten. If I can be completely honest, by the time most of you or that other women have even hopped into my inbox or sent me an email or signed up for coaching, it's because they've been sick of the lie of, oh, I'm just waiting on God, or my time is coming. And they've been telling themselves that for so long and nothing has actually transpired. So it's like, hey, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't really know what's going on. So help me out here, sis. The thing is, waiting on God, while it sounds good, I always say that waiting on God is really not something that's the biblical waiting that a lot of people kind of tie together, right? It's really one of those things where we have to realize that biblical waiting is not passive. So while a lot of people say it in great faith, maybe let me word it that way, a lot of people say it in great faith, but biblically speaking, waiting is not about being passive. Waiting is about actually getting prepared. Waiting is all about being intentional. Waiting is about being active. It is about being obedient. Even James talks about how faith without works is dead. You can put faith in your love life changing all day. You can put faith in the fact that you're going to meet that amazing man and one day it's going to be your turn. Cool. Have all the faith that you want, but if you are not putting some type of work behind that faith, then that faith is useless, is what other translations even say. So it's not anything about that it's like your approach has not changed in this season. Your approach has not changed. It's like you're just waiting. And truth be told, it's not even that you're waiting, you're repeating. You're repeating what feels familiar. You're repeating what someone else said worked for them. You're repeating what some people are telling you to do, but it's not going to work for who you are, for what God has actually created for you and who He has created and called you to be. So you have to move, but move strategically. Waiting without any type of movement, that is stagnation. That is not faith, okay? It's easy to say that it's faith and that you're being faith-filled and faithful and waiting on God and all of these things, but no, that means that you are just being stagnant. I've spoken before about how you can desire something, but it does not mean that you are ready for it. And I realize that's where a lot of women are getting single in this season. They've been praying and fasting. They've been becoming abstinent. They've been chasing their financial goals, getting their credit together. They got their passports. They're doing all of these different things. So in their mind, it's like, I desire it. I'm being obedient. I'm taking the necessary steps. So I know God is going to come through for me. Just because your desire is there and it's strong, and just because you are being busy doing all the different things, it does not mean that you are ready. Okay? Wanting love does not mean that you are ready for it. Praying for it does not mean that you are ready for it. Promising God how you are going to do things differently in your next relationship does not mean that you are ready for it. And a lot of you actually feel that just because you're tired of being single, that means that you are ready, and that is not the case. There's a big gap between emotional desire and relational capacity. Just because emotionally you are craving and wanting something does not mean that you actually have the capacity to maintain and sustain the healthy relationship that you finally, that all of this time that you deserve to be in, and you're finally realizing that you deserve it, right? You're finally realizing exactly how much you want it, but maybe it's still one of those things where you're not realizing that you do not yet possess the relational capacity to actually get that. Just because you are lonely does not mean that you are prepared. Lonely just means that you are frustrated with being single and that you are ready and wanting a relationship very badly. Prepared means, hey, I know who I am. I know what I want. I'm not going to settle. I know my standards. Outside of getting it, I am equipped to actually handle, maintain, and sustain a happy, healthy, holy relationship that is eventually going to lead to marriage. I know what my personality traits are. It means that you know your attachment style. You know your triggers. You are not moved by your triggers. You are not easily reactive. You are emotionally stable. That is what prepared actually looks like, okay? You can deeply desire something, but again, it does not mean that you are equipped to sustain it. So I want to ensure that you are doing what is necessary in this season to actually be positioned for what it is that you're wanting. All right, listen. Y'all know I am all about, in the SAS Tribe, my private group on Facebook, whether you're watching this video right now and there, or if you're watching it on YouTube. I am all about putting an affirmation in that group every single day. I have done that consistently for years now, because y'all know, before I got to Coach V, I was the minister, the teacher. I am all about encouragement and motivation and really inspiring people, right? So I'm all about making sure that people just have something that gives them just a little bit of hope, just a little bit of faith to make sure that they hang on. So I put affirmations in the group every single day, but just because you are doing affirmations and the cute little things like that, it does not mean that you are positioned. Just because you are saying that you are ready does not mean that you are positioned. Just because you are hoping the right man shows up and saying, yeah, I'm finally actually ready to meet someone and be in a relationship, it does not mean that you are positioned. See, positioning is making better decisions. Positioning is enforcing boundaries consistently. Not just telling your friend what you're going to do differently the next time around, but actually enforcing them all the time, all across the board. No matter how much you like the man, no matter what he promises, no matter that it feels different, you are going to be consistent with those boundaries. Positioning is making sure that you are choosing alignment over chemistry. Means that you are being wise to see, hey, are me and this guy, are we actually aligned? Do we want the same things? Am I overlooking any red flags? Or are you actually just going based off how it feels, how he makes you feel, and how it feels familiar and something just seems different about him? That is not positioning. Positioning is making sure that you can walk away without any type of hesitation anytime you realize that you and a man are misaligned. Anytime he crosses a boundary, anytime there's a blaring red flag, right? It means that you can walk away with no hesitancy at all because you are better than that. At the end of the day, Amos 3:3 says what? Can two or more walk together unless they actually agree on the direction that they are going in? If you realize that you and that man don't want the same things, if there's some type of spiritual misalignment, I don't care if it's financial misalignment, if you realize that emotionally you all are going to clash, if it might be one of those things where there are two completely different attachment styles and it looks like one or neither is really doing the work to actually heal themselves so that a healthy relationship can happen, then that means that you are misaligned, and that means that you two are not going to agree on the direction that you are going to go. Positioning is all about being consistent, becoming consistent in the version of you, in the version of yourself that can maintain the relationship that you are asking for and praying for. You need to check your patterns and determine why there are some things that have not yet changed in your life. Do you know what your patterns are? I am very big on making sure that women are aware of their dating patterns and the things that they have been repeating that they might not even realize. It's one of those things I ask on the relationship readiness assessment. But you know what? When I actually do one-on-one coaching, we get to a point where all of my clients have done this. We look at all the past dating and romantic, relationships, and we go back, making sure that we cover them all. And so many women don't even realize it until either I point some things out or until they start talking out loud or maybe journaling, doing one of their assignments, that there are some patterns that they were completely unaware of. If you keep meeting different men but you have the same outcome, that is a pattern that has not yet been identified. And if it has not yet been identified, guess what? That means that it cannot be rectified. A lot of your patterns have not changed because your selection hasn't changed, because your responses haven't changed. Your standards may exist, but they are not being enforced, okay? I love how Galatians 6:7 says, like, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. You are going to reap whatever it is that you sow. So whatever it is that you're putting out there is what you are going to get back. And that ties to your patterns at the same time, okay? You don't attract what it is you want. You attract what it is you are ready for. You attract what it is you are aligned with. So take inventory of who and what you've actually been attracting this season. And that is actually going to tell you a lot about your readiness and about you being positioned in this season. All right. I've said before, there is a cost that comes with misalignment, and it is expensive, okay? Because it can cost you another year of being single. It can cause you another heartbreak. It can cause another emotionally draining connection. It can cause another almost relationship where it was like, oops, false alarm, thought there was this guy, but that actually didn't work out. Misalignment is expensive, and if you don't actually do the inner work, you're going to keep repeating that same thing, and it is going to cost you years, tears, time, frustration. The list goes on. And I get it, right? The hope for a lot of you, it's starting to wane just a little bit. It's starting to diminish. It's starting to decrease a little bit. I understand, especially for those who have been single, 5-10 years, or for those who have never been in a serious relationship, for those who have been abstinent and godly, and they had the timelines on when it was actually going to take place for them. And they're sitting here now where it's like, okay, I'm like 35. I thought by now I would have actually been settled down, married, couple of kids, all of these things. Just like Proverbs says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. At some point, staying the same has to become unacceptable. At some point, you have to go beyond just waiting on God and just having faith in God and going beyond just trusting and believing in God. It's saying, I have to examine myself and realize that I need to make some changes. Now, what that change is going to look like for you, I don't know. Unless we've actually worked together, I don't know what the work is going to look like for you in this season. I just know that you need to do something so that you don't find yourself, again, being misaligned with a man that's going to have you frustrated or heartbroken or depleted 6 months or 3 years from now. Again, misalignment is expensive, and many of you have been paying the price in time, energy, emotional peace, the whole nine. The list goes on. So there's a missing link that I want you to take from all of this, and it's faith and strategy. Prayer is essential. Make no mistakes. I am all about praying. I am all about making sure that God is aware, even though he already knows, but telling him what your desires are, what it is that you want, why you want it. Get open, honest, real, raw. Get all of those things. Do that with God, all right? Pour your heart out to him. But prayer, while it is essential, it is not the only requirement. Because if you believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then you know that God works through obedience. God works through wisdom. God works through action, okay? Wisdom is the principal thing. That is what Proverbs 4:7 tells us. So you don't just need faith for love. What you need is strategy to align with it. So, in closing, I want you to stop asking, when will it happen for me? When is it going to be my time? When is it going to be my turn? Instead, I want you to start asking, what is it that needs to shift in me? Because I truly do, with the affirmations and everything else, I want you to realize that you're not behind, you're not forgotten, none of those things, but you are responsible for how you show up in this season, all right? So again, start asking, what needs to shift in me? What are you going to do with this information that I've now given you? I like every Sunday at the end of the sermon, that's what we always say in our response time after the message is, what is God saying to you and what are you going to do about it? It goes back to showing that faith without works is dead. There needs to be some action and intentional movement behind your faith, okay? For some of you, I've said before, you don't need more content. You don't need another podcast episode. You don't need another training video. You need clarity on what's actually off in this season of your life. This is what the Relationship Reset Intensive is for. The session that I've been telling y'all about, and some of you ladies have been booking it, and it brings so much clarity. It's amazing, especially for those who are not yet ready and willing to invest in like my actual coaching programs. So much can be uncovered in this 90-minute session. All right, this is where you get to tell me what's going on. I get to ask you some questions to figure out, what's been going on, why it's been going on, point out some things, point out your patterns, let you know your target problem area while we figure out exactly what your attachment style is and why that causes you to date the way that you have been dating. And from there, I'm going to make sure that you walk away with knowing exactly what it is that you need to do so that you can reset all of your relationships. It is an actual intensive in this session because it is clinical where we are doing the work. And beyond that, at the end, what a lot of ladies also really love, I don't know why most people forget this, but within a couple of days, I'm going to send you your 90-day transformational blueprint. You're going to get a love roadmap to let you know what you need to do in the next 90 days in order for you to get where it is that you want to be in love. All right. So if you want, let's do it. I actually have space on my calendar for next week so that you can get your 90-minute session. All right. This intensive is all about identifying your patterns, exposing your blind spots, and making sure that you have a clear next move so that you can do something different. It is time for you to get positioned. That's all. You're just being positioned in this season. You're not being passed over. And that's what I want you to realize. I need this message to resonate so that you know the truth about your waiting season. At the end of the day, at some point, you have to stop watching, stop consuming, and decide that you are going to start doing something different.